Good evening, and welcome everybody to Pretenders or Contenders Coaches Show. We're here tonight with our third episode, week 3 of doing the show. And as I always start out, I want to give my special thanks and shout out to the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network, the boss BJ, KG, the Midnight Rider, Matty Ice, the Gentleman Jack, Big Don. Always give my shout out to those guys for bringing me on to the show, man. Like I said, it's been a great adventure so far. Um, I'm loving it so far, and just excited for the opportunity. Still excited for the opportunity, man, and excited to keep bringing this content to you every week. We got a great show lined up today. I got two guests coming on today. My first guest is Mr. Karsten Miller. He is he runs the MFV All Sports Network on YouTube and on Instagram. And, it's a guy that has a lot of knowledge about high school sports in the area. He gets out to a lot of games. I mean, he gets out to girls lacrosse games, soccer games, volleyball games, football, basketball games. He's everywhere, man. And he definitely shows us a lot of love over at Law High School, my home. And, got him coming on the show tonight just to give his insight on a lot of things that's going on in the high school world and just pick his brain for a little bit. So Mr. Karsten Miller is going to join us today in a little while. And then we got one of the staples in PG County football. We got head coach Stan Hall from Parkdale High School coming in to join us, man. He's a veteran in the game, been doing it for a long time. So we're gonna sit and rap the coach about his coaching career and this year's team and what he's expecting from his young squad this season coming up. So good show today coming up, and everybody just sit back and join the ride. Glad that you all joined me here tonight. And man, it's been a busy week, man. I was moving all last week and running around, man, and body hurting right now. But I'm here, dedicated to this podcast, man, and just excited to be on here again. I had my youngest daughter's first birthday party on Saturday, and she turned 1. That's my little girl. That's my little girl, and we had a good time. Had family over the house and stuff, man. But having to throwing the little girl's party, man, is tiring. So I'm happy to just sit back and take a break tonight and talk to you good people about some sports. Um, a lot of even though it's a down period right now, we still got a lot going on. A lot of things happening in the sports world. So let's get into a little bit about that. We call this our 5-minute blitz. Um, just talk about stuff that's going on. Last week I told you about a lot of the basketball summer leagues were winding down. The big one over there, the Capital Hoops Summer League over at DeMatha High School completed last week. Um, had oh my goodness, it had to be about 50 teams, private schools and public schools from all over participating in the summer league, and they had the championship last week, and champion Clinton Grace defeated DeMatha 78-60. Clinton Grace, that's been coming on the scene a lot in the last couple of years. They got a nice little loaded mob. Um, they finished the league undefeated. They actually beat the Mather twice. They beat them during the regular season of the summer league. Um, and again, they won the championship 78-60. It was led by CJ Lyons, who's, if you've been following summer league basketball, man, CJ Lyons been killing it in the summer, man, and in the championship game, man, he scored 27 points in the win, and earned outstanding player of the game honors for that. We got the boss BJ checking in. What's up, coach? I'm good, BJ, hanging in there, and then give you a little shout out, happy birthday to my little one. Appreciate that, man. And we gotta get up soon. Touch base again. We ain't been in touch for a little bit, so we need to get up soon. We're getting back to the game. BJ Lyons, man, he was killing it, man. Like I said, he had 27 points in the win. Um, and it was a back and forth game from the first half, and then they just took over the second half, man. And the math are tough. They the math is the math. They always gonna be in it some way, shape, or form, man. So they gonna be back. It's just summer league, but um, good game for Clinton Grace. The math was led by Ashton Meeks, who dropped 23 points, 7 boards. He also had a strong summer. Um, and I want to give a shout out to Eleanor Roosevelt. We're focusing a lot on PG County here on this podcast. So give a shout out to Eleanor Roosevelt's boys team. They was in the summer league as well. Oxon Hill was in it, and as well as Lowell was in it. But Eleanor Roosevelt, they went 5-3 in the league and made it to the first round of the playoffs. And they lost first game, but they only lost by 2 points. So they had a strong showing. It's been a good summer for Roosevelt. Playing them the last 2 years after the coaching change. They was a young team, but they play hard and they're growing. So that was a good showing for them. Um, Also this week, man, well last week, uh, the Prince George's County Football Coaches Association, man, we dropped our new Elite 22 team, our inaugural Elite 22 team, and this team consists of the top rising seniors as voted on by the association coaches. And this is something new this year where we took a look at the rising seniors and was like, okay, who should have a breakout year this year? And it was a great reveal. It was headed by Coach Steve Rapp that we had on last week. Um, and it was a great thing, man. Great showing. They had a nice little video shoot and a photo shoot, man. And we dropped it last week on our Instagram page. You can follow us on our IG page at PGCFCA. A lot of content for PG County football on there. And I'm just gonna read off the list of the Elite 22 teams. Again, this is our rising seniors this year. From Bowie, we had Elijah Butler and Gabriel Suwumi. And if I butcher a name, don't hold that personal. I'll mess up a name real quick, but hopefully I say them right. From Frederick Douglass High School, we had DB Dorian Smith Stansel. Duval High School was represented by the D lineman Jaden Brown. Flowers, strong on the list. Flowers had 6 kids on the list. Oluwatani Adegunusi, Nicholas Armstrong, Krishan Sims, Tristan Saunders, Jordan Williams, and Rashawn Smith. Gwynn Park had 2 players on the list, Silas Yanson, DeMarcus Jones. Largo had my man on there, Timon Fox. Timon Fox has been having a good spring and good summer. Northwestern was represented by Javane Palmer. Oxon Hill High School represented by Arthur Cuttier. Potomac had a linebacker on the list, Davon Abrams. Eleanor Roosevelt was represented by receiver Dante Whitaker. Tough player, seen him in 7-on-7 this year. Just go up and make plays all over the place. Suitland had 2 guys on the Tyler Amaya and Saquon Ofis. And then closing out the list was 4 Wise players, Tyrell Deal, Eric Wedge III, the quarterback, Cameron Parker, and Michael Colbert. So that was our Elite 22 list from the PG County Coaches Association football. And then we also had we dropped our Electric 11. So the Electric 11 was a list of rising underclassmen that should make some noise this year. They had good seasons last year, and we're expecting big things from them this year. On that list we had from Duval, Jordan Green, 2 players from Flowers, Tiger Williams and Cody Gardner. My QB1, my starting quarterback at Law, Demarius Custis. Oxon Hill, we had Deshaun Williams. Parkdale, we had Jaden Ballard. And when Coach gets on tonight, we'll talk to him about that, about Jaden Ballard, what he expects from him this year. Potomac had Cameron Hyman. Wise had two players, Elijah Miller and Theo Riley. Flowers was represented by Zamar Imhotep and Kavar Durandis. I don't want to mess up the man's name. Largo was represented by Amir Belton. Suitland had the quarterback, and this young fella can throw the ball. He can play this quarterback spot. Anthony Boyd. And then closing out the list was three more guys from Wise: Justin Williams, Keon Elder, and Landon Cooper. So those were the Prince George's County Football Coach Association Elite 22 teams and Electric 11 teams. Um, like I always say, we got some things brewing over here in PG County. We got some exciting football coming up, and these young men, they represent that. So excited to see what they're gonna bring this year. As long as they don't show out when they line up against us, I'm all cool with it. So um, again, you can follow the Coaches Association on IG at PGCFCA, where you can see those lists and some of the other content and things that we're sharing and what's going on in PG County. So just a quick rundown. That's my 5-minute blitz. Quick rundown of sports in the area for this week. We got some more information coming from the live period next week. We get some coverage on that. Um, but now we're ready to head into what I call the straight from the huddle segment, and I'm going to bring in my guy, my first guest today, Mr. Carsten Miller from the MFE All Sports Network. What's going on, my
How you
guy?
doing? How you doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine and clear.
That's why I was making sure you can hear me. All right, man. Welcome on the show. I appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule. I know you
No
be all over,
problem.
man, and I'm excited to have you on the show today. Um, I couldn't have no high school sports show without having you on, man. Um, I started following your coverage last year, man, and just to see how you putting on for the high school student athlete. You going all over the place, man. You covering all sports. You ain't got no bias. I didn't even see you travel all the way to Fort Hill. I don't know how you made that ride, but you took the time. And then let me get them on here, speak to a little bit, let them talk about some of the things you see out there in the high school world, and you got a lot of information. Your eyes have been further than mine, so glad to have you on here today, brother.
Oh, well, thank you, man. I appreciate you reaching out to me. Um, yeah, yeah. I started out actually. Started out. It was an idea from my children. Um, to particularly
Yeah, I
two of
know
my
you're in
boys.
your off season time where things going.
Yeah. So it's like I have five kids, four boys and a girl, and it was back, I think, about like 2018. They were like, Dad, you gotta do a YouTube channel or something. Just like, you know, just being a YouTuber. So I was like, okay. So I just started going to sports, and of course my favorite sport is football. Uh and
Having a little
just
technical difficulties. I'm
oh,
having issues. I can barely hear you.
oh, okay. You hear me now?
Make sure got my mics up.
Is my mic working?
Maybe that's a little bit better. All right.
You good?
Just checking in. And so what you got coming up this year, man? I know you got a busy schedule. I know you like to get out there, man, and see as many
Yeah,
games as possible, man. So, what you got going
yeah.
on this year?
Okay, so this year, I'll be, of course, doing the state champ tour. That was something we started back, just going to the home games of all the state champ winners. Uh, but I'm coming to y'all's first opening game, um, to set it off. Because I like last year when I got the invite to that. I mean, that was one of my favorite games. Uh, it's just the energy that was brought was amazing. And it just pumped me into the year. It just set me, straight off. So I'm doing the state camp tours. Uh, and then I'm gonna try and do uh, trying to get more of the youth ball as well as other high schools in as well. I want to explore actually PG County because I seen after seeing y'all and I seen Wise. Um, y'all got some ballers. Um, and I definitely just want to bring that out. My goal is just really just bringing exposure back to the state, the DMV area. I come from a time when, when you talked about athletics, the DMV is where you go. It was kind of like Florida, Texas, and California. So I keep that in mind. I want the eyes to come back to us. You know, I'm usually neutral when I go. I do root for a team. I just don't say it. Um, but I am neutral because I look at it as, you know, is the goal is so that everybody can eat, and so that everybody can see, what great things we have here uh, in the DMV. Um,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
Um, and like yeah, I don't know you saying on past shows, that there is a lot of talent in PG County, and see that's what I want to expose. Like get that, like even if it's just one game, they can see
Hmm.
both teams, whether you win or lose, it doesn't matter. You know, um, I'm let a little secret in, so the players can be encouraged. I know scouts that watch and they say, find me a dog. I want a dog. I'm looking for a
Hmm.
dog. I'm not looking for the perfect play. If you throw an interception, that's the interception is not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at how you respond to it.
Right.
Are you going to
Right.
respond to the next play? Those kind of things. So that is kind of the goal. I want that to be exposed when I'm going out to film, um, because there's a lot. We have a lot here. Um, and so I just that's what I have in mind, when I'm going to these different sporting events, like, even, so and so. So this year I just plan to be going more and more, trying to go further and further as I can.
Hmm.
Because I like to travel. So I don't mind, the driving. It's a little harder now, because my main job, uh, with the return to office, you know, it kind of made things a little bit more difficult because I try to manage the games I go to around, the schedule that I have and how that works with my
Right.
kids and
Right.
all of that stuff too. And so it's gonna be a little bit harder. I'm still gonna do my best to get out to places. Maybe a little tired and not as quick as getting the videos out as I should. But I'm gonna try my best as I possibly can. And so,
Well, long as you make sure you stop by the 300, I ain't worried
yeah.
about
Oh,
nobody else during the season, but make sure you come by the 300 because you
yes.
always welcome in our territory.
That's definitely, and I love that. I love the energy there. Um, Interestingly, I talk with my son, my oldest son, a lot,
Hmm.
because he usually comes out. I'm trying to get him, train him to kind of do the same thing. So, it's
Hmm.
not just me, but you have another person out there that can go. Um, And I told him, I said, that opening game at the 300, because I had come to Laurel before for the basketball game,
Right.
and
Right.
seen him. I said, I like the energy here. I like this how the people are and how they respond. You know, I've seen them lose. They know how to, take the loss, build from it, and move on. But I said, it was
Hmm.
something about that opening game that you had with the new field. And I said to my son that during that time, around that time, I said, somebody gonna win a title. Somebody is gonna win a championship. Because I said the culture, I'm watching the culture change. And that's how the culture changes. Just like
Hmm.
that. It takes one thing and everybody's on board. And sure enough, as time went on, I said, "Oh, man, the game was great." And then I went out to the basketball, and I came to a couple of playoff games, and I looked at him. And I said, "I think Laurel is going to win a title." 'Cause I could just feel it. It looks like that
Mm-hmm.
because they got it. They got it. Like everybody, all the sports are in link. The culture is different. And sure enough, so
Yeah,
mm,
it's all about the attitude, man. We
mm-hmm,
our athletic director, Donald Cleveland, man. We've had a change in some coaches, and it's a new
mm,
energy in the building, man. And it's a struggle getting the kids on that level, but it's slowly getting there. And
yeah,
basketball was ready this year, and on the football side, we're slowly building. We're
yeah,
getting there. We're trying to change the culture, and can't change it overnight, but
yeah,
we're getting there. And like you said, the energy in that opening night game last year was amazing.
yes,
The season didn't finish the way we wanted to, but we started that game right there. It just set a trend. I mean, we had biggest crowd in a high school game there. We had over 1,000 people there, and it was just amazing,
yeah.
just amazing. So, my guy,
And
Coach Marcus says Rome wasn't built overnight, and he's right about that. We slowly building, and we gonna get it. We gonna get it right on the football side. Trust me.
that's right. Hey, I believe it. I believe it. You
Right.
know, definitely. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that and I see happening. I'm glad you guys have that coaches association, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
it's about. Even looking further than that, you guys are
Mm-hmm.
uniting together. Because that's when you look at Florida, when you look at Texas, when you look at California, those are the states everybody talks about with the athletics.
Mm-hmm.
They're on a united front. The
Right.
Florida boys support the Florida boys. The Texas
Right.
boys support the Texas boys, and that's where we need to be. When starting out, I used to see this kind of like everybody was like trying to do for themselves, and I can't let you get higher than I get higher, and I was like, come on, that's not what it's about. We gotta,
Mm-hmm.
their success is our success, you know.
Exactly.
Um, and so
Exactly.
that you know, and what has happened in Maryland, even with the college University of Maryland, they with the football team, they reached out to well, they brought more kids from this local state. The success of that is going to be a blessing to all of us in the state.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that we shouldn't hate on that. We should actually be looking and saying, oh man, if these guys are successful, if Malik, Iverson, all the guys that are coming up from Maryland representing,
Mm-hmm.
they do well, eyes are going to start looking like, well, maybe we need to go to Maryland and pull these boys. And see, that helps Laurel, that helps different schools get eyes on them because there are some gems, but you ain't going to always get the gems at the popular places. You got to turn over every rock you possibly can.
Yeah,
So,
you're right about that. You definitely got to
yeah,
get out there and look, and that's why your avenue and hopefully my avenue can start bringing more notice to some of the players that aren't as seen as others. So
yeah,
that's why you need avenues like this where we're showcasing these student athletes, man, so that these college coaches will know, hey, let me go knock on these doors. Where's Laurel
hmm
at? Well, oh, I don't know where it's at, but we're gonna go find it so we can see what we got over there. Go to the Duvals and the Parkdales and
there you go.
Wise and Flowers. They got their name out there, so it's time for the
Hmm.
rest of us to get our names out there as well. So you're definitely right about that, and off of what you said about the coaches association, man, it's I've said it before. It's great when we at these meetings and these events and things, man, and we all come together, and it's all about the
Mm,
kids. It
that's
ain't
right.
about our egos, man. Coach Rapid Wise, he's telling college coaches, hey, look at this kid over here. If you're looking for this, go check this out. Call this coach. And there's other coaches that sent me messages. Hey, it's a coach in the area. He wants to stop by there. So it's getting there. It hasn't always been like that. The mentality is definitely changing, and the group of coaches we have in the association are starting to figure. Like, hey, the more attention we bring to the county, the better for us all.
That's right.
Hmm.
That's right.
Yeah. So talk about what you got going, and why you started, how you got into doing what you do.
Okay. Yeah. So I originally, I said this before the mics, I guess
Gotcha. Yeah, I
something was
probably
going
couldn't
on.
hear you. My bad on that.
It started out my children came to me one day back in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
and were just like, "Hey, Dad, we got to do a YouTube thing," because they
Mm-hmm.
always know me the video stuff. I'm always carrying a camera and video in and doing this and doing that. They said you got to do a YouTube. So I was like, okay. So I started out filming little family things, but then they know I love sports. We
Mm-hmm.
are a sports family. We literally like you. We don't play when it comes to sports. Like
Mm-hmm.
we watch it all throughout the season the best way we can possible.
Right.
Um, and so I started out filming my son's his flag. He was playing flag football, and I started filming there and filming, their soccer and flag football game. And there was a guy there I saw him with a camera and he was just filming. So I kind of, asked him, he said, "This is what you do, hold it this way, try not to speak." And he was teaching me and I was just soaking it all in. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply that. So I did that, would add the video to YouTube. And eventually as my son got into youth football, um, he went to what's called the Severn Seminoles.
Okay.
Uh,
Yep.
they about and he played for them. So I started out there filming filming their games. Then some of the coaches came. It was like, "Hey, look, we like what you're doing. Um, could you kind of go up in the booth that we have up there?
Uh-huh.
We'll make some space for because we kind of want to get that angle." So I was like, "Oh, okay," And so I would, was trying to film every game from that booth. And then, my son would come and tell me some of the players from the other teams want you to come and film there. I was like, man, this is really a need.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I can do all this, but and so one of the assistant, well, I say he's a sister, like a parent helper, um, suggested. He said, "Look, man, don't get locked down in one place." He
Mm-hmm.
said, "You need to go out." He said, "You need to start going out to these high schools and just go around and film." He said, "Do it, man. It's needed." And
Yes. Amen.
I said, "That's a big thing to feel." He's like, "No." He's like, "Don't get locked. Just go out. Just go." And so I was like, "Okay." And you ain't got to tell me twice.
Right.
So I mean, I did it after that, but I always am thankful for the Seven Seminoles, because that is, where I birthed like out of. If they can, they're the ones that can say they birthed me. Um,
Gotcha.
and so I would just, and I start kind of slowly started with, s- still filming kind of my son's games because he would ask me to. He would say, "Dad, can you film this game?" And I wouldn't, I wouldn't just go to the game. I would,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know, I didn't know everything. I was new to stuff, and so I went and started, filming there. And as time went on, uh, I ran into Maryland high school sports,
Uh-huh.
and they reached out. They reached out and just really helped me because it was like we're going to, they basically took it on like we're going to help you grow. For nothing. They didn't have to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
they did it, and That from that point on, it just I said, man, I got to go to these different schools, man. Because I forgot to mention this when I first started out. I didn't know, well, do I want to just film for just one school and do that? And it was like, no, I was getting too locked in on that, and it wasn't really enjoying that. So I need everybody. I want everybody to eat. I
Right.
don't want to just
Right.
be one place. I want to be locked down. And so, like, from there, once Maryland High School Sports kind of helped me, and then it was like, yeah, go to this school, go to that school. And then I asked some other YouTubers who were doing it, like, well, what do you do here? How do you get access to the field? They said, yeah, okay, you got to talk to this person and that person and do this. And it helped me to establish relationships. And I began to, see this high school sports world in a different light. I was like, oh, I didn't know all of this even went on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, and I think that's when um I went to my first states game in 2022, and it
Okay.
just so happened to be Fort Hill was playing Mountain Ridge. And I had been hearing about Fort Hill. I was like, ooh, what is this Fort Hill? I ain't never heard of this. Who is this place? And that championship game was just, I was like, whoa. I was like, yo, this is, that's some coaching on both sides. I said, these are the
Mm-hmm.
two teams, the crowd, I mean, these people drove 3 hours to see this team. I said, man, I gotta go out there. Yeah, and I heard stuff, oh, that's just 1A, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yo, no, 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 no. I'm not believing that. I'm going out there to see what it's like. So I said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going out there. I went out there, man, and just loved it.
Yeah, true
Loved
football
it.
town out there. True
Yeah,
football town out there.
and it was the same thing I seen at Laurel. That's how Fort Hill is. Just the
Yeah.
love is crazy. It's just like, wow, yeah, this is what it's about. And I wanted to see because I know that they were, a lot of people don't, kind of like, oh, that's those mountain people, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, nah, man. Um,
Yeah.
I'm up here reading what he say.
Oh yeah,
Um,
we had a question in there. My man Anthony, a great supporter of all the shows we got on the podcast network here. It says, Kirsten, how different has the technology evolved from when you started videotaping games and editing them to what you have now?
who? uh, see. I know my ways are not like I don't have the big cameras like
Mm-hmm.
everybody else does. I looked at it and I said, man, they're putting the same cameras in iPhones. So I
Mm-hmm.
found like the technology with I use the gimbal, which kind of gives you the stabilization and kind of like smooth, kind of that smooth feel to it, like you're watching a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the as with so with the phone, it was like it was a little kind of not as clear as it should be. You had to be really up close to get that clearness. But as the phone developed, and as the gimbals, I use a gimbal, which is how you see me with the movements and stuff. Um, it started to get better and better and better because they keep working on it each year. So each year you'll see like the software it just gets much clearer. I can be far away and it look like I'm up close.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so the editing software, yeah, I do everything from my phone. I didn't have to no more use the computer. I got software that everything. My phone is basically what I use to film and edit and
Yeah,
upload.
it definitely makes things a lot easier now.
Yeah, so
Even for
it's
coaches, using Huddle, we can do a lot of things from
yeah.
our phones as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it makes it very
And
simple.
yeah. Go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, heading into this year, um, you got I know you spoke about your championship tour. Speak about some of the other sports that you plan on reaching out for this year
Mhm. Oh
outside of
yeah.
football and basketball.
So I try to I'm trying to get a new sport every year. The sport
Hmm.
I haven't gotten, I wanted my new sport this year to be wrestling.
Gotcha.
If I get wrestling and swimming, um, I haven't done those yet. It's a goal. I try to set a goal, but I'm finding like volleyball. I've expanded to volleyball, starting to build there, and find that there's even a need to get them on tape. I'm amazed at just how many want this kind of exposure. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, the volleyball I'm hoping to get more of, soccer, uh, um, of course basketball. So I plan to do
Of
also the
course.
tour with the basketball, and lacrosse has been getting even better and better. I ain't never even knew nothing about lacrosse, and I started it about 2 years ago. That's how I'm gonna go out because one of the schools that you know um was like, yeah, you got to come to our JV lacrosse and check it out. And I loved the game. It was great. I was like,
Hmm.
oh man, I like this, and so I started learning and learning even more. You see, one thing I don't know everything.
Of
Um,
course. Yep.
I don't know everything about football. I'm no expert or anything like that. I actually, my kids was saw me the other day. It's like, why are you watching these videos? Why are you, doing all of this stuff? I said, I gotta watch tape too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
Hey,
just
there
the
you go.
coach's job. I gotta watch tape too because how am I gonna film better? If I don't know what's going on in a play. Because sometimes I get fooled by a disguised run. Because with Maryland, they do a lot of disguising.
Hmm.
And I'll be like, oh, oops, I'm over there, and they going over there. But yeah, just the new in the new sports I've gone to, it's helped me to learn the sport more.
Hmm.
I'm thinking there's a guy in Bishop McNamara. His name's Bam. He puts up a lot of his videos, and I have no problem asking him like, "Hey, what is this, and why is this way?" You know, and he explains it, and I'm like, "Man, that guy's got a lot of knowledge to be so young." You
Hmm.
know, and you learn. I'm learning from him. You know, and
Right. Right.
I'm out there, supposed to be filming, and I'm learning. So uh, you know that's been the great thing about doing the new sports. I did track. I've done track. What's the sport that I have not done in the springtime? And it's slipping my mind. I
Probably
don't know.
softball. Probably softball.
But I did softball.
Okay, you
A,
done
f- a
softball.
few a few of them. It's just I gotta kind of figure out the schedules, and how to get out to them.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So definitely, I've done field hockey. Um, and I did, even expanding it back to lacrosse again, expanding in lacrosse, not just in the lacrosse big lacrosse areas, because we know Severna Park is the big lacrosse king around here, and Maryland is
Yeah.
known for lacrosse. But I loved going to see that PG County championship, 'cause I was like, oh, these guys got some lacrosse players out here.
Yeah, it's definitely
That's
growing in the county. We
yeah.
might be a little behind everybody else, but lacrosse it's growing.
Hmm.
Definitely growing.
And I want to also, I just thought about it. The girls' flag football.
Hmm.
I want to try and get out to those, 'cause I know that's starting to expand too.
Yeah, we're
So,
excited for that coming to PG County as well. This will be the first year,
mm,
and I'm excited to see that myself. Like I said last
yeah.
week, I'm mad that they didn't put it in the spring so I could be a little bit more involved in it. But so, but that's okay. Um, well, Kirsten, man, you my guy, man, and I appreciate you coming on with me tonight. And
Yeah,
I would
man.
love to have
Appreciate you.
you back. Once all the fall sports coming back, man. Even if it's just for 5 minutes to talk to you or recap,
Yeah.
some of the games that you highlighted for the week. Um, so Coach Marcus said, when it comes wrestling, come up to the 300 because
Okay.
we
Hey,
produce state
hey.
champions. So we got state champions in wrestling.
All
So come
right.
on
All
out there and
right.
check us out.
Yeah, that's I love because I was always telling y'all when I'm coming, and one of them said to me, he was like, "Man, stop telling us when you coming. Just come, man. We got you. You good."
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause,
you good. You come in anytime. Always welcome at the 300. So
man, I mean, I enjoyed it definitely, Marcus. I'm gonna try and make that out. I owe your JV team because they asked me last year the JV football. They said, "Can you come out?" So I
yeah, yeah.
got to
Come on
come
out
out
and
to a
catch them up.
JV game, and I definitely plan to be out there for the opening game you guys have,
All right. Well,
varsity.
yeah. The opening game is against my next guest, Coach Stan from Parkdale. So
Oh,
yeah, so
oh.
we hopefully he don't try to embarrass me, while we got you out there. But again,
Yeah,
man, I appreciate you coming out, man. And like I
appreciate you,
said,
man.
I want to have you on again once we get
Okay.
into the fall season and just pick your brain, man, and get some of that knowledge you got of these different sports and our student athletes out there.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All
Most
right, man.
definitely.
All right, I appreciate you, brother, and I'll
Appreciate it.
talk to you soon.
All right.
All right.
Take
All right, that's the guy, Carsten Miller, MFB All Sports Network. You can find him on Instagram at Miller's Flow Vlog and on YouTube, man. And he got some good content out there and, a good source of information. I love how he highlights all of our student athletes, no matter what sport, no matter what school. And, it's just a good thing. And, ran a little longer with him, but now I'm going to bring in my next guest, my guy, Coach Stan here, one of the veteran coaches in the county. Um, how's it going, Coach?
Hey, what's happening? How you doing, pal?
Not much, man. I appreciate you taking some time to join me. Hopefully, I took you away from your team so you ain't out there working.
We ain't got much to work with.
Look, you say that, but Coach Stan, man, we in the same boat up here in the northern half of the county. We don't always get the best talent, but I can tell you one thing: when you come out to see a Parkdale team, or you go against a Parkdale team, you damn sure better bet they're gonna play hard and they're gonna bring it, and you and your staff gonna have them ready to play, despite
Well,
no
I
matter.
appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. We do our best with what we got. Um, we don't have the best of kids, but we scrap around, try to get what we can get.
Exactly. I feel you on that one. So, like I said, welcome again, Coach, man, and just wanted to bring you on, talk about your coaching career, and then talk about what you guys got going on this year. Some of your key players coming back, and who you're expecting big years from. So, if you can just start talk about, that illustrious coaching career you had over there at Parkdale.
1990, and I coached there till 2004. I left and went to Central, and came back. I went to Central, and I came back to Parkdale around 2017.
Okay.
And I've been there since, but I originally started at Suitland in '83.
Yeah, hey, the 83, coach. I ain't trying to say how old you are, but I was 4 years old then.
Yeah. I started in Suitland. I coached over there from '83 to '88.
Gotcha. So, with you being in the county so long, just as anything, things change over the years. And if you can speak about some of the changes that you've noticed in the county since when you first started out to now.
Well, the guys are more prepared. People do more work in the summer now. More athletes, better athletes, and the coaches promote the kids more. Back then, you know, I know this for a fact. Other coaches would promote kids from other schools because their coaches wouldn't. And but pretty much the level of play has grown a whole lot. To get a D1 kid coming out of PG County back then was far and few, but now you get them all a lot more, a whole lot more. And only thing that's the major difference now, we got a lot of kids that should be somewhere and they somewhere else. Right. Mostly back in the day, the kids played where they grew up. Like if you went to say if you went to Eisenhower, right? You stayed with your guys at Laurel till you graduated. It wasn't I go to Eisenhower, but I'm gonna go to another school and play there because I don't like Laurel. Everybody wanted to be the changer.
Right.
They wanted to stick together and change things. The county has changed so much on the north side. It's kind of crazy. We got some schools don't have teams. Some schools can barely put teams out there. And I'm pretty much in that boat. We got to go find kids. We don't have that turnout like that first day of practice. We got 70, 80, 90 kids. That don't happen, So you got to get out there and hunt for kids as opposed to back in the day. When I first started, I guess our first practice, we might have had 120 kids at Suland. And, the grade thing was different and all that, but still, ninth grade is eligible. It's hard to get them out there. Kids don't play outside no more.
No, they sure don't. They sure don't. I know I graduated from Law back in 97. And I remember when I first came in, going into my ninth grade year, I actually had the opportunity to go to Roosevelt with the science and tech program. And like I said, that was back in 93. And I was like, man, it's good, but I want to play football and I want to go to Law because the kids that I played with, all my buddies, we played up through the Boys and Girls Club, Law Boys and Girls Club, all the way through. So we want to stay together and play at our home school. Nowadays, I hate to say it, and the parents are some of the issues, they want to go for instant gratification. They don't want to go put the work in and change things. They want to go somewhere that's already made and just be a piece instead of going somewhere where you can come be the man or the woman and start a program,
Exactly.
And that's something, we definitely have to deal with on the northern side. The more programs that open up in the county, the more opportunities for kids to bounce around and go to different places. But I'm in the same boat as you, Coach. We got to scour the building. We turning over tables and everything, looking for players. Kids out there, and nowadays, like you said, kids don't go outside, so they ain't interested in sports like they used to.
Exactly. You got kids come in, they juniors and seniors, they can't even catch a football, don't even know how to throw one. As opposed to you go outside, you learn all that.
Exactly.
And another major, not to cut you off, Coach, another major thing is if you get a kid, he pretty decent as a ninth grader, by the time he really get to know the game, he graduating.
Yeah.
As opposed to you get a kid that's been played since he was 7 years old, and that's a tough thing too. Seem like all them kids go to the better schools,
Right. And we had one comment saying half the time the kids don't even want to play.
Exactly.
They out there because their friends are out there and other things like that. But despite all of that, we keep on pushing, because we love to be out there and doing what we do. If that wasn't the case, we sure wouldn't have done it as long as we have been, Well, let's talk about your team this year. Any your key players coming back, or what you expect out of your group this year?
we got a couple kids coming back, Jude, Brandon, Emmanuel. The last names I'm hard on. I just know first names, all right?
Man, look,
But
I'm in the same boat.
but we're just trying to put the piece together a team right now. You know, actually we're not even sure at the moment who's gonna be the starter, who's not gonna be the starter. You know, we've been working at it for a minute. You know, I guess we started working around April, you know, and try to get the kids. Well, really, the biggest thing was getting everybody eligible. You
Right.
know, we may have lost 2 or 3 kids, but other than that, getting everybody eligible, and we're gonna be young. I don't know how strong we're gonna be, but we'll see. I definitely don't have the kids I had. I don't have a kid like 2 from last year, not at all.
Oh, yeah.
You
He was a dog. That was Mr. Do It All. I hated to see him coming down to the field, and sometimes I used to look over there and be like, maybe he won't show up today.
yeah. He started ever since he was a 9th grader on the varsity. So, as a matter of fact, he got dropped off at school today. So I know he won't be there next year.
Good. Good. Look, I don't want him to roll out there in another number. I'm gonna make sure I be looking at faces when we line up.
That ain't gonna happen. We're gonna be decent. Try to be competitive. It's gonna be a new thing for a lot of kids. You know, a lot of my kids. This is gonna be new. You know, getting them prepared and getting them focused is a major thing right now. You know, but this 12-day 12-day thing that the county afforded us, really trying to take advantage of that right now. You know, a lot of my kids are from somewhere else. Everybody got to go out of town. Everybody got to leave the country. You know, just getting the whole group together is going to be hard this summer at one time. You know.
Yeah. That's always one of the challenges you face. Like I said, especially on the northern side. You know, we don't have a team full of kids that's just dedicated to playing football. You know, they, like I said, summertime comes, they want to travel, they want to get jobs, and as coaches, we got to navigate all of that stuff. It's we're not allowed to say that everything is mandatory. We can't do that in the county. So it's like, we expect kids to come in on their own and want to put in the work, and unfortunately that ain't always the case. So we try the best that we can, and like I said, the 12-day period that the county gives us is a great opportunity. I know there's a lot of coaches over in Anne Arundel County that's jealous they don't get to do it. But we got to this period we try to take advantage of it as much as possible. But yeah, I agree with you. It's tough. These kids, they just don't have that mindset anymore.
Another thing in the county that I've seen that it used to be different. Everybody don't have the same facilities. That makes a big difference too. And and not saying facilities, well, facilities do help, because you can get a parent that looks at a field that's not great, say, no, I ain't letting my son play on that, and put him in another school. But then you got other schools with great facilities, they can hardly get a team. But it all comes to who in your building, what type of kids you have in your building, or do you have football kids, or do you have soccer kids, But I do believe that the county should equal out all facilities. I think they took a shortcut by they gave us a field, which is just a grass field. And some people like it, some people don't, but I think it don't jump out at you, Even if you give us a grass field, you should give us lights. They did the same thing with Crossland, Duval. I know Central had a nice field when I was there. Friendly too. They didn't do nothing with Friendly or High Point, So
yeah, that's one thing that our county falls behind on. I think that as far as facilities, everybody should be on the same playing field. You look at Anne Arundel County and how they do their schools out there, and I mean, we got our field last year, but for years. We played on that
And y'all
same
fought
dust
for
bowl of a field. That
exactly.
Right. So I think they need to do a better job. I've always told people that the bowl you guys have there could be set up for the best stadium in the county if they would just invest and do it right. Because I love y'all, that bowl that y'all have down there and the way it's set up. And y'all should have lights down there. And if they put turf down there, I'm telling you, that'd be the best facility in the state of in the state of Maryland, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just the other day we had a problem with the irrigation. I don't even think the water on right now because we came down the other day. I looked over the hill and all this water on the track. I said, no, it didn't rain like that. Water sitting there all night like that. Come to find out, the irrigation, one of the pipes that broke. So I don't know what they're gonna do. If they're gonna have to dig it up again, I don't know. It's just they got 35 sprinkler heads, and I don't even know if they're gonna cut them on.
Wow. Yeah.
So
And I was looking at I saw that Largo, they started their field, and I'm like, they're putting, the Bermuda grass out there, and I'm like, Largo's field can be a swamp real quick. And all it's gonna take is one heavy rain and anybody playing on that field and it's done. So I don't know what the county be thinking sometimes, and I know they always put it on the budget and things like that. And well, you work in the county, so but they got to find a way to get all these fields up to date and everybody with the same facility, because it makes no sense to have no difference. Everybody should be playing on the same playing field.
Yeah, so that's one thing, but as long as we can get kids out there and get them interested in playing, that's a challenge too. But if you can fill the team, I feel bad for a situation like at High Point. It's hard for him to get kids out, and I think he got one of the biggest enrollments in the county, and
the biggest in the state. They got the biggest in the state right now.
And it's a shame that you really can't get kids to come out and play, because they don't know the sport or they're not interested in the sport, But in High Point back in the day, they used to be a powerhouse.
Oh yeah, they were our rival when we played. Back when I played in the '90s, mid to late '90s. Yeah. So that was always a tough game. We always looked forward to beating them. And they had the lights back then. It was them and Largo that had the lights. So
and friendly, yep.
Yeah, friendly, yep. So you always look forward to those games, and it's a tough situation.
And you know what's crazy? All them had lights and none of them got fields. That's crazy.
None of them got fields. Yep, you're right. You're right. They already had the lights and none of them got fields. Yeah. So PG County, you listening? Y'all got to do better out there, because it doesn't make sense. It's all about the kids when it comes down to it. And like I said, you all should be on the same playing field.
And another thing back in the day, schools couldn't monopolize the talent. You figure, I can remember one year when Siouxland, they weren't good. That's before Nick got there.
Okay.
High Point was like #1 in the state. Siouxland beat them 3-0. And I don't know if it was a bad day for High Point, but just know you could show up and play with them. Now it's pretty much some places the talent is totally unbalanced to other schools in the county. So I don't know what they're going to do about that, or if they're going to do anything about it. But I look at it like this: if you really want to have competitive teams or have a competitive county, you got to equal it out. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I'm maybe 30 kids from not having a program, and I'm sure that's at other schools too. And you can see what happened at High Point, and it can easily happen in my school. It can easily happen at Northwestern. It can easily happen at Bladensburg. So, and you don't want to have your county having schools drop off like that, and because that don't look good for the state.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't, and they need to find a way that they got to find a way to do something about it, because we know what goes on, and it seems like sometimes that the county just turns a blind eye to certain things, and
Definitely.
we just hope that that the integrity of the coaches in the county, man, just gets better. Um,
And as long as I coached in this county, all right, and I've been here for a minute, I never seen one school dominated like I'm not even gonna say the school is, but they almost went undefeated 10 years in a row in PG County.
mm-hmm.
So they was on that 10th year, on that 10th year, and they got beat. But that's crazy. All the athletes we got in this county, and one school could dominate the county like that for 10 years in a row. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
definitely feel you on that. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time out your schedule to sit down and talk
not a
with me for a
problem,
little
Pop.
bit. And like I said, I truly believe, man, that you and your coaching staff, man, do a hell of a job of getting y'all kids prepared, no matter what you got going on out there or what talents you got out there. Because when you line up against Parkdale, they're gonna fight and they're gonna play hard and they're gonna scrap. And I ain't never seen a coaching staff in this county that gets their kids up for a game like you guys do. So, remember what I just said, and do the opposite week one.
Well, Pop, we might not even show up, man.
I know daggone well you're gonna show up.
We if I first I got to get the kids there. I got to. Hey, I'm working with a different bunch this year. It's gonna be a little different, but I appreciate everything, man. And I know your kids gonna be ready to play. So that opening game, I look all the way back to your opening game against Ratsville last year.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody came out and they was ready to roll. So and that's exactly what I'm expecting this year. So,
well, look, I hope. I'm glad you're expecting it. I hope I get them there. So we working.
oh yeah, you
we
will,
working
man. You will. I watch it. You got some fast jokers. I don't know that dude's name with the glasses on, but I know he can run.
All right, you will be watching a little bit too much, Coach. Stop watching.
All right, man.
So you said put the video down. Stop looking.
I just seen him in the 7-on-7. He was running past people like 40 going west. So, yeah.
I ain't gonna say nothing. But I appreciate you, Coach, man, and I look forward to seeing you, man, in a couple of weeks, man, and keep doing your thing, man, because I definitely look up to you guys over there, man, and appreciate everything you got going on.
All right, I appreciate you having me. All right, pal. Thanks for everything.
No problem. Have a good one.
All right.
All right, that was Coach Stan Hall from Parkdale High School. One of the OGs in the county, man. Like I said, he started out in 1983, man, and been doing it a long time. I know he's seen a lot throughout those years, but he's still out there going strong. And like I said, man, him and his coaching staff do a great job of getting their kids ready and up for the week, man. And they're gonna play hard. They're gonna battle. They're gonna play hard, despite whatever's going on. So I appreciate him taking time to come on. And we ran a little bit longer tonight, but that's all right. We had a good show going. Hopefully my boss BJ don't fire me for going over too long, but I appreciate everybody sitting in and listening with me tonight. Next week, we got another great show lined up next week, and I got my guy going out the county a little bit for the first guest, and we got Coach Troy Gibson, head coach at 7 Run High School, and then we got my man Coach Parrish, Augustus Parrish from Bowie High School coming on. So looking forward to another great show, man, and I'm glad that you guys take the time to hang out with me and listen, man, and keep showing the support. And we're gonna keep on doing this every week, man, as long as the guys give me another job. So I appreciate it. That's my guy, Coach Moots, another great show, Coach. Appreciate you, Mook. I'll give you a call in a little bit. And then the boss BJ, great show, Coach. I appreciate you too, boss, man. And again, guys, I just thank y'all for riding me again this week. And check you out next week. Y'all have a good evening.